fenirob here. Today we're going to be taking a look at some games that have been laying around on my shelves in these tiny little boxes all over the place, even some deck boxes that I've had just strewn about. I took all of them and I put them in these nifty carrying cases that I picked up at Hobby Lobby because they had the best prices. I think you'll see I've got north of 50 games in here, and some of these are kind of classic games. Some of these I love a lot. Some I haven't played in forever and frankly forgot about them because they're so small and sit in the nooks and crannies of my game shelves. So let's take a look at these. Hey, it's board games, and what else you got going on? All right, so let's open up this first box here. These are photo cases that they come in 16, 8 on each side. And what I tried to do was fit as many games as I could into each of them because when I go on trips, sometimes I like to carry games with me, and this would be an efficient way to get enough games in here. I don't think you'd have to play the same one twice, even if you were gone for weeks. In this one, we have a game called Monsters and Maidens. I haven't played this one in years. Maybe once I played it. I don't even know who makes it. But my children used to like this game a lot, and so the dice look really nice. I think it's sort of a push your luck type of game where you're trying to defend the kingdom from some monsters. It's fun enough, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, but I wanted to get it out of this chunky box, and so I'm going to keep that one. And the other one is Just Desserts, which is a game where you're trying to fulfill orders in a dessert shop. This was another card game that my kids loved. It's actually a pretty clever game, and I haven't played it in a long time, so I might want to break that one out. And what I've done is I always made sure I kept all of the instructions for the games so that I wouldn't forget how to play them. So that's what's in that box. But there, you got 2 games in that box. Next, you've got in here the Great Dalmuti. This is an old game, I think, a card game that was kind of a classic, but this one they did with D&D, and I've played it a couple of times with the family, but this is one, I think it plays up to, I don't know, 7 players. It plays a lot of players, and this is one of those games that we would, it says 4 to 8 actually, that I would play either at a convention or with my nerd friends when we get together, a few times a year. Sometimes late in the night when you've had a little bit, you want to play something that's not super heavy, and this is a perfect type of game. And then The Ugly Griffin Inn by Scott Almes. You know him from the Tiny Epic series. This is a pretty cool solo game where you're trying to keep everyone or as many people as happy as you can in your fantasy inn. So I've got 2 of those in there. Let's see what we have here next. Mint Julep. This is one of those button-shy pocket games where you're basically manipulating a horse race and trying to make sure that you have the winner so you make the most money. And then also I fit in here a game that I take everywhere, and I love it, but the box for some of these old Fantasy Flight ones is just a little bit clunky for what's in there. I mean, it fits fine. This one, the rules at least fold, so, but I've had this for years. This is an old demo that I had. This is a great game. It sort of has the same mechanism as, gosh, I never can remember, not Eldritch Horror, but Elder Sign. That's it, where you're pressing your luck and you're trying to, in this one, trying to take over other feudal type cities. Age of War is one of my favorite all-time small games, and Mint Julep is a pretty clever game. All right, so let's see what's in the next one here. This one is going to be Thief's Market. This was, again, another clever game that just doesn't make it to the table enough. Tasty Minstrel Games. They're out of business, I'm pretty sure. This game has a lot going on for a little box. You're basically a group of thieves who's gotten their loot, and now you've got to divide up the loot. And it's got a cool split or take mechanism that you're going to use with taking the different dice. And then you're going to get cards with either different characters or items that are going to help you manipulate the cards and the dice. So this is a pretty clever little game here, and I fit it into this box because I never remembered to take this game anywhere, and now that's in here, it may go just along with the rest of them for the ride. Anyway, that's a pretty good game. You should check that out, Thief's Market. Here's one that I really want to explore some more. I've played it a few times. It's called Startups. This is by Oink Games. This is another one of those games, a tiny box, and it plays, I think, up to 7 players, 3 to 7 players, and you're trying to basically buy the most stock in a company by the end of the game, because whoever has the most gets paid by the other players who have lesser amounts, not the majority, of the same cards. There's a lot to think about in this game with only basically playing a card and drawing a card, simply. I highly recommend this one, Startups, but it's in here and it's never going to be forgotten. It'll come along with the rest of them. Valley of the Kings. This is probably one of my favorite deck builders. It has a pretty cool mechanism where cards filter down in the market in the shape of a pyramid, and gravity pulls them down into the lower levels. Got, you know, several cards. The next one up has fewer, all the way up till the top. This is a pretty intense deck builder, and it's kind of an underrated game. I think it had a reprint with a big edition, but I have just the original, and I love it. This is a great one to play at a convention with, you know, with 1 or 2 buddies. Great stuff, and I jammed it all into there. So I'll have that. Here, I've got one of our all-time favorites that we play this at any time we're at a convention or our friends that we go to Dragon Con with in Atlanta. This is Bang the Dice Game. This is so much fun. Little hidden roll, pressure luck, attacking people around you. It's mean, it's fun, always a laugh. Someone always gets a 1-finger salute by the end of that. This is CV, which is the Pocket Edition. This is kind of the game of life in 15 minutes in a set of cards. And really, by the time you get done with it, it does feel like you've created a little sim character in the form of a little card game. Very clever set collection type game and drafting. Sea Change, this was like a Rummy-esque game that I got from, I guess it's like Grana Games. And this was one that I got to do a review on. I did a playthrough. It was actually pretty fun. And my wife really liked this one, so I kept it and I fit it in here along with CV Pocket. In this one, I got the all-time classic One Night Werewolf, which is a relatively large box. This is thinner, and again, it fits in here. This is an all-time classic. We play this for hours. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, but when you play it 12 times, it's an hour. I can do maths. This is Coup, another one that we take all the time when we go to conventions. I have the expansion in here, Reformation, I think it's called. And this is an all-time great party game. I fit both in here, and we love this game. I think this plays up to 10, although that's kind of a lot for any game, to be honest. In here, we have another couple of all-time favorites, and I think there's 3. I actually have the regular werewolf, not the One Night, in here, which is really just a few cards. Then I have this game called Thieves, which is a really cool game from Calliope, where again, you're trying to get as much loot as you can, but you're trying not to get caught by the cops. You want to have the most loot, but not too much when the cops come. This one is Pairs. This is one of 2 versions of Pairs I think I have put into boxes here. This is one of the best pusher luck games in this tiny deck of cards. You can play up to 8 people, and this is a great drinking game or a game where you just want to have some mindless fun. Great stuff. So I got 3 in this box. Keep forgetting which way to put these in. Over here, I have Mr. Jack Pocket, another great game. This was one I recently did a playthrough on my channel. I love Mr. Jack, the regular game, but the Pocket version is in a much smaller container, obviously, but it is a very brain-burning game for 2 players. I highly recommend it. If you like regular Mr. Jack, this one's a no-brainer. And if you like 2-player, relatively, I don't know if you want to call it abstract, but it's sort of a puzzle, and there is some luck, but it's mitigatable. A very, very good game. I love it. Here we've got Art Robbery. This is a Reiner Knizia game that just came out. This one reminds me a lot of Thieves, which is the one I was just talking about, where here you're trying to steal art. And again, you don't want to be the one who has the fewest amount of alibis. This is a pretty clever and mean little card game that's very easy to learn. You can play round after round of it. I love Knizia games, and this one is really solid. It's brand new. Highly recommend that one. Here we've got at least 3 games in this box. We have Martian Dice, which is a push your luck game. These are all push your luck games. This is Zombie Dice, and this is Dragon Slayer. There should be playthroughs of all 3 of these videos up on the channel. Certainly by now you've heard of these and probably have played them. If you haven't and you like push your luck games, the mechanics are very similar. There's differences in all of them, but these are all great games, great pub games, games you can just pull out as a filler. Great games, highly recommend it. Good dice chucking. 3 games in that one box. Here we have a couple of one of my all-time favorite 2-player games. You've probably seen Eminent Domain, which is a bigger box game by Seth Jaffe. This is a 4X game in 18 cards, 9 turns each, 2-player game. I'm not sure if this is in print anymore, but if you can get a copy of it and you like 4Xs at all, you can play this game in 15 to 20 minutes. And you really do get the sense that you are playing a 4X game in space. Highly recommend it. Twilight Squabble, I don't know how they didn't get sued for that one. I think it's a rip of Twilight Struggle, but this is basically fighting the Cold War. But this is a very good 2-player game where you go through several decades in history trying to compete with the Soviets against the US. Very good game, both of these. I fit them both in this box. Check them both out. And then lastly in here, we got this game that I really enjoy. It's called Capital Lux. Beautiful cards. The art in this game is really good. It's sort of a tableau builder, and you're also trying to kind of get the best economy going with set collection of cards, and a lot of it is unknown to your opponents. So you're going for stuff and you don't know what the other people have. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Startups in that way, but I highly recommend this game. I think it plays 4 players, maybe 5. I think it's just 4. Solid game, Capital Lux, beautiful art, and I only got 1 of that in here. So there you go. So I had 16 boxes, and I think I fit something in the neighborhood of 24 games in there. So that's box number 1. Now we'll go to box number 2. You know, and I realize now that maybe 1 box per video is enough, because I think we're going to be north of 10 minutes here, so you shouldn't have to suffer through all of that. I'll go ahead and make a separate video. Look for part 2 with the rest of the games from my consolidation effort. Thank you for watching. As always, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.